Welcome. I'm Jordan Bouskos. I use they, them pronouns, and I, as Billy said, am the assistant WIG coordinator. I will introduce, here we go. My coworker, Lindsay, who's not presenting today, is the WIG coordinator who works full-time and oversees the hiring and placing of interns. And I primarily oversee the Medi-Cal peer support specialist part. And we'll get into a little bit of both. So as to what is the WIG program, it stands for Workforce Investment Grant. We are a program that is funded by California's Department of Healthcare Services through Mental Health Services Act money. Thank God for the grant. We started in 2021, so it's been a few years, and we've gone through a few iterations of our grant. We're actually in our last hiring session of interns, and we'll get into it a little bit, what that looks like and how many interns that's entailed. But we're at the tail end, so exciting and bittersweet. We are located under T-MHA's supportive employment program, meaning that we get to access the resources when hiring people of employment support. And we usually hire about 10 interns between the two counties per cohort of interns. We've had about 4 now, and it is both between San Luis Obispo County and northern Santa Barbara. Yeah, and as for the grant, we offer a few different options for interns once they're hired. So we like to focus a lot on training so that it's not just a working grant, but also an education opportunity. All interns that come through our program have the opportunity to get Medi-Cal Peer Support Specialist certified. And I wanted to check in, does everyone have an understanding of what it means to be Medi-Cal Peer Support Specialist certified? Just thumbs up or nods if you can, and totally okay. Awesome, yay, seeing some thumbs up. So then I won't go too deep into it. But yeah, we make it an optional but suggested opportunity for the interns. So if they want to, they can go ahead and go the initial track of certification, get the 80-hour training. We've actually been paired with Share, so that's been lovely, and getting people certified. But if they don't, that's totally okay too. Our main thing is getting people into the workforce. So if they decide not to get Medi-Cal peer support certified, they can also take other trainings such as mental health first aid, wellness recovery action plan, or even a law and ethics course that we have that would allow them to set themselves up for success to get certified later if they want, but if not, that's okay. We also prioritize experience in the mental health field. So all of the programs that we're having interns take part in have to do with sharing their experience and getting connected to mental health services, connecting other people to mental health services. We'll go into a little bit, but we have interns everywhere in T-MHA, from our supported employment and behavioral health navigation programs to our Growing Grounds Farm, which is a little more hands-on. And because we're situated under the supported employment program, we get to offer job skill coaching to any of them, regardless of what program they do their internship in. Yeah. And it is a paid internship opportunity. We are not following the stereotype of unpaid interns. It's a 6-month program, about 20 hours a week, give or take, depending on what the intern's available for, but that's what they're being hired at. And it's direct experience opportunity. So they get to learn a little bit about the programs, and we try to match as best fit, whether they would succeed at a wellness center doing a peer support group facilitation or more behind the scenes in behavioral health navigation. The whole point of this grant at its core is representation in the workforce. Our whole goal is to make sure that the voices of peers, those with lived experience with the mental health system, are being heard. And so we hope to do that by reducing as many barriers as possible to employment. We also encourage peers to use their lived experience on the job. So they're doing plenty of learning in the meantime, but also sharing about what their journey has looked like. We hope to teach a little bit about boundaries and role modeling recovery, while also making sure that it's not a therapy session and it's about sharing experiences. And hopefully they get to learn about their own recovery in the meantime, gain some skills, gain coping skills, have it be a reciprocal process. Yeah. And as for career pathways and what we've landed so far, we've had 43 interns go through the process. 9 of them are currently in our last cohort, and 16 of the 34 prior have actually accepted jobs at T-MHA. 18 have been hired into the mental health workforce as a whole. So only 2 of them didn't stick around with us, but that's okay. Yeah. And I saw some familiarity with Medi-Cal peer support, so I won't go too far into it, but we do offer getting them connected to the 80-hour initial certification track. It's state approved, so then they'll be able to bill Medi-Cal, and that's very helpful at some of the placements that they're currently working at, such as our wellness centers, where they get to lead peer facilitation groups and then bill on it. Part of my role specifically is teaching the interns how to navigate this process. So from the very beginning of creating a account and then learning how to set themselves up through the 80-hour training and getting exam certified, I'm right there to walk with them. So I've helped them get connected to study sessions for the exam, find the information that's available online to prep for the exam, and just navigate the hurdles of taking a state-based exam and the anxiety that comes with that. And yeah, so in the process of that, we're trying to teach the core skills that the training offers. So prioritizing trauma-informed care and communication skills, all of the ethical considerations that come up with being a peer, sharing your own lived experience to other people navigating the mental health system, and then active listening and advocacy being absolutely crucial to it. So trying to model those as we're getting them connected. And in case anyone didn't have it, I wanted to make a slide for the link where we get the majority of our information. I saw the hands earlier, so it sounds like y'all are probably pretty familiar with it, but I can drop this link at the end too, just of how to get Medi-Cal peer support certified. And as to who can apply, we really do try to reduce as many barriers as possible. We don't have any prior experience requirements. We're not scouring their resumes looking to see if they've gone to school for psych. It's truly anyone that comes in with lived mental health experience and is interested in using their story of recovery to help others. Some of the logistics that do exist is they do have to have a high school diploma or equivalent, have to be 18 years of age, possess a valid driver's license, have some level of transportation, mostly depending on the role. We can be flexible with it. Proof of auto insurance if they're going to be driving, and a DMV driving record that meets T-MHA's requirements. And we've implemented a few surveys to try to get feedback. Over the 3 or so years that we've been doing this program, we tried to tweak it to the needs of the interns. So some of the positive feedback we've got is them saying they've learned so much about healthy and professional relationships, getting to learn about their own development and having a great experience, and then staying with T-MHA, which we love to see. We also created a survey to see if the program managers needed any support in overseeing their interns, because that is something that did come up when we first started. Some of the program managers of the different sites had never overseen interns before. So it's been a really collaborative working process of, all right, how do we teach peers to work in the field and peer managers of how to oversee peers? So some of the feedback on that end has been saying thank you for the support, and the interns have been a positive morale experience, that their direct experience has provided clients comfort. It's been helpful to have extra staffing, and also that they've built solid relationships. One of the last things that our program oversees is T-MHA's employee resource groups. This might be a familiar concept for anyone in slightly larger nonprofits, but it's the idea of really prioritizing wellness of all of our workers. And so WIG has taken this on. We have 2 different ones that I'll go into detail into the next slide, but they aim to just be free resources that promote wellness. If we're talking about having peers in the workforce, the tumult is real. It can be triggering to work with people who've had similar experiences to you. So we really try to prioritize this space where people can learn about their triggers, learn about what it means to be a peer in the workforce, and find some community. Yeah, and as to what our ERGs actually are, the first one is a women's employee resource group. This is a confidential space where people talk about what it's like to hold a marginalized gender identity in the workforce. specifically working in the peer workforce and acknowledging that this can come with its own triggers. It meets every Thursday of the month, and it's really just been a space to vent. We also have a self-care ERG hosted by Barbara Hannelore, and she does everything to do with self-care, from movement to art to drawing to venting. It's really focused around self-expression and creativity, also held on the third Thursday of every month, and gives a space for people to explore what coping skills work for them, acknowledging that peers in the workforce, we're still learning about what coping skills are useful for us, and sometimes they stop working and we need to find new ones. Yeah, so quick, but that is the main logistics of our program. We are almost done with it. Our funding will end on December 31st of 2024. This was the second round of funding we had, thankfully. It was supposed to end a little over a year ago, but we were able to get a second round. But it does not look like another one of those will be coming soon, so 𝗣𝗲𝗄 will have to tweak what it looks like to hold this program. But I did want to make space to see if anyone had heard of other programs like this, if there was questions about how we've implemented it over the last few years, or things we plan on taking away. But as for that, they can also be emailed if putting you on the spot right now is a little too much. Lindsay's email is above. She works full-time, so you can get responses throughout the week from her. I myself usually only work Tuesday evenings and Wednesdays. So you can go ahead and email me, but it'll take a little bit longer to get a response. And that's all I had. So I wanted to check in and see if there was any questions about the nature of the program, how we've implemented things, any of what it's looked like to work with the Department of Healthcare Services, or anything else that comes up.
Hi, thank you. I'm currently located in Georgia, and so I know with my agency, we actually are the organization that does the training for Georgia for certified peer specialist mental health. And as we're looking and we're trying to be moving into a more alignment with SAMHSA and the national standards, they're looking at requiring like some sort of supervision or internship. We're also we're trying to work out how to implement that, but we're also faced with the challenge from our state of how do we train more CPSs, get more like in the field, making sure we have quality CPSs as well, because we're finding that within Georgia we're having a shortage of CPSs. And so my question is, with individuals, with peers going through the Medi-Cal training and in the internship process, is California experiencing any sort of shortage within the work field of CPSs because there might be some additional steps, or are you guys able to still fill those positions very readily?
Very relevant question. We have been having a little bit trouble hiring interns to become peers, specifically for us in Santa Barbara County. So for those not familiar with California's geography, we're on the central coast, about halfway through the state, and Santa Barbara is just south of San Luis. And we've had a bit of trouble hiring. And as for people that have already gotten certified, it is not very many. Proportionally of just 𝗣𝗲𝗄, I believe out of around 280 employees, we have about 10 certified employees. So it has been a pretty short or a pretty small percentage. One of the barriers being the cost of attending the trainings and also the time. So for those working full time, it's been a barrier to be able to take 10 to 20 hours a week to do the 80-hour training, depending on which timeline they pick. So in terms of navigating that, we actually tried to help prioritize these internships within our programs, communicating to the program managers that this is part learning experience that could lead to employee retention, could lead to more employees available in the workforce. So a lot of our advertising energy has been around trying to hire for this program. Did that answer your question? If not, I'll give another stab.
No, it did. Thank you so much.
Brilliant. Best of luck. Any other questions about how we got started or what any of the grant coordinating has looked like? Well, I can always put me and Lindsay's email in the chat if that would be useful. And if you all have any questions about how we've built up this program and maintained it over the last few years, feel free to email us at any time. I'll go ahead and put mine right now. And here is my coworker, Lindsay's.
Thank you, Jordan.
Pleasure to meet you all. Thanks for being here.
And Jordan, I just wanted to tell you that we at Chair, we love T-MHA.
Yay! It is so mutual. We appreciate you all so infinitely.
Thank you.
Awesome. Take care, everyone.
Okay. Bye, Jordan. And goodbye, everyone. Thanks for attending.